All right, what's up, guys? For our second video on the channel, I just finished the Elden Ring DLC, completed every single Remembrance boss, regular boss, all of them, field bosses. Like, I beat the game. And so today I thought it would be fun to go over my tier list on how I would rank all of the different bosses after having beat all of them based on how much I liked them. Gonna kind of delve into the lore, their story, whether that plays a role in how good the boss fight is, and also just how enjoyable the boss was to fight. Um, so I've got this tier list pulled up here. Let's start with the Ancient Dragon, man. There was nothing special about this fight. He dropped a really cool weapon, um, the Ancient Dragon Great Katana. Great weapon. I used it for some of the fights. I actually used it to beat Bale, but this fight itself isn't. I mean, it's okay. It's a very traditional, dungeon boss at the end of a dungeon. I'm just gonna put in E tier because I think a lot of the bosses are gonna be ranked a lot higher. Um, actually, for its weapon, just because it drops a good weapon, I'm gonna put it in the D tier. Senisax, I'm gonna put in the Y. This fight is really cool. It's a cool looking fight, and I I actually lied when I said I've beaten every boss this DLC had to offer because I have not beaten Senisax. Senisax you run into on the way to another boss fight that is way cooler than him. He's actually next on the tier list, Bale. But this fight takes place on top of water, and his main ability is using red lightning attacks. So because you're standing in water, you take extra damage from this red lightning, and his attacks chain and are inconsistent with their timing. It's terrible. I haven't beaten this guy. If I went back and sunk time into it, I probably could, and I got really close. But for my play style, this guy was it was awful. Like like I said, it's like one of the only. Maybe there's more bosses I haven't fought in here. I actually didn't look at the full list, but not a fun fight. Why does this exist? It's terrible. Bale the Dread, I'm gonna put in A tier. Um, I almost want to put it in S, but I think I'm gonna put it in A. I'm gonna bump it. I'm gonna put it in S tier, and the only reason why is because with this boss, if you do the quest line for Igon, Igon helps you fight Bale, and the voice actor for Igon, the character itself, is so enthusiastic about defeating this guy. It was a really fun quest line to go through. The fight itself is super cool. Probably one of my favorite OSTs in the entire game. One of the best boss fights. Yeah, it's great. His kind of he has like a last second phase. Um, really cool fight. And then Igon for my playthrough ended up getting the last arrow shot to take him out, so that was really entertaining. Um, Black Knight Edred. I did attempt this guy, but I'm pretty sure I left. Or maybe I'm thinking of another guy. I'm thinking of this guy. I actually have not fought this boss, so I'm not going to properly rank it. I did fight this guy, and this guy was nothing special. I would just rank him okay. Not really too much to talk about, in my opinion. This guy, I actually have quite a bit to say about. This is the first boss I ended up encountering in the DLC, the Black Gull Knight. It's right off the bat on the left side of the map. It's a very traditional fight. There's nothing really. I got insane Dark Souls 3 vibes from this boss personally. Nothing too special, just a traditional little fight. He did screw me over at the beginning of the game. Like I was getting my ass handed to me. Once you learn how to beat him, it's pretty simple. It's not a hard fight. He gets interrupted really easily. I'm just gonna put him in the not great tier. Um, yeah, I'll just put him in the not great tier. Chief Bloodfiend, I liked this fight quite a bit. I thought it was. I'm considering putting it in the good tier. Um, I just enjoyed fighting this. It took me 2 tries to beat this fight. Wasn't anything too crazy. It was just a fun little enjoyable fight during the game. Commander Gauss was for those of you who don't know, there's a hitbox bug on this boss. And so one of the hitboxes for his attacks is absolutely ridiculous and doesn't make any sense. Um, I kind of got screwed over by this guy. He took me about 5 tries. Not really a fun boss to fight. I'm just gonna put it in the not great. I didn't really have that much fun fighting him. Um, Count Ymir. I'm sure this is counting the. I'm pretty sure this is just talking about the final little secret fight you do after completing this guy's quest line. I'll say poo boss. Nothing really happens. I mean, it's kind of cool that he like turns on you after doing his entire quest line and learning about the whole finger boss that I'll show you later on. But I mean, nothing cool happens. He just does some homing attacks and puts some hands down. Nothing that cool. Um, to be honest, I don't remember very much about this fight. This fight was pretty boring. I believe this is the one where it's a very dark arena, and so you can't really see anything, and that kind of makes the fight annoying. But this boss isn't hard. I mean, this is just traditional. You know, I'm just gonna put it in the okay tier. It's kind of falls into that traditional. Nothing cool going on. I'm gonna put it in not great. Um, Dancer of Renaud. This is how you get the backhand blade, which is a really fun weapon. Really recommended if you haven't. It's unlike any other weapon, so it's really cool. I switched my build like 8 times during the DLC. This was a fun one. The fight isn't really that interesting. There's a lot of just traditional, boring like dungeon bosses, or they're okay. We'll just put it in okay. Um, and Death Knight version 1. This fight was incredibly annoying, in my opinion. Uh, I believe that there is a death. Yeah, I did not end up. I'm just gonna put the death right bird now. I'm just gonna put this in F tier now. Um, Hated this fight. I did force myself to beat it, but death right birds have always been the bane of my existence ever since I did play my playthrough of Elden Ring. Um, I hate him. It's an unnecessarily annoying boss. It's not hard. I guess it's not like hard. This fight gave me a lot of trouble though. I forced myself to beat it. Not that fun of a boss fight for me. I'm gonna put the Death Knight version 1. Um, I don't know what the big difference. This is the Lightning Death Knight. Then in my opinion, the Lightning one is way more annoying than the other Death Knight version. So I'm gonna put this one in not. I'm gonna put this one in not good. I'm just gonna leave this one in okay because I remember not being too annoyed by anything that the second version of Death Knight has to offer. Um, there were 2 demi-humans. One is on the Cerulean Coast, which I believe is this one, and this one was okay. I really like the Cerulean Coast as an area, and so I'm gonna kind of give it like an unfair advantage because I really like the scenery of this boss fight. Some cool attacks, nothing hard. I am pretty sure I first tried this demi-human. Um, I'll just put it in okay because I'm not gonna put bias towards the arena. I guess I kind of did for these two though. We'll just put it in okay. And the same thing for this one. I don't really remember all that much about this fight to be honest with you. Um, Most of these fights are kind of blending together, but we get to a good one. The Divine Beast Dancing Lion. Now, going into this fight, I would probably put it in one of these 2 tiers. This fight annoyed me. It took quite a few tries to beat it. This is kind of like a wake up call. It was my first remembrance boss that I beat on my playthrough, and damn did he shit on me. I mean, this guy kicked my ass. Um, the cinematics of this fight are incredible. I mean, it's a gorgeous fight. A lot of cool phases. I love the fact that this boss is literally 2 men dressed up as like a Chinese festival. The dancing line. It's so cool. It has an annoying hitbox, but I'm gonna forgive it. This fight is great. I just had a fun time doing this fight. Um, I looking back on it fondly. I'm looking forward to fighting him again. I hope he gets remembered because he was sick. The Falling Star Beast, I mean, I hate the Falling Star Beast. I'm sure a lot of people do. It's just not a fun fight. There's nothing really going for it. It's just an annoying fight. So I'm just going to put it in the poo boss tier. I don't know why they put it. They just put it in a secluded part of the map that makes no sense. It just drops a spell. I don't know. I don't use spells. Wasn't that cool. The Furnace Golem. These are scattered throughout the map. Um, there is nothing cool about these. I will say, fun fact on my first playthrough, um, I walked up to the first Furnace Golem and got absolutely destroyed. He did this grab attack and I died in 1 hit. And from that point forward, I realized that the DLC wasn't going to be fun. That's when I realized that there's a gimmick to it. I won't spoil the gimmick in this video, but there is a trick. Let me tell you, you can beat this boss pretty easily right off the bat in the DLC. If you haven't beaten this, I'm sure most of you know, but I'll just put okay. They're cool aesthetically. I love the way the boss looks. In my opinion, it's one of the coolest. I love giants in games like this. I don't like fighting them, but I love the look of them. Really cool looking boss. kind of a fun fight too. Although I will say that you fight variants of furnace golems throughout your playthrough of the DLC, and the first one was, in my opinion, the most enjoyable. The other furnace golems have cheesy, dumb attacks that make it so you can't, get close to them. But yeah, I would say it's okay. The Ghost Flame Dragon. I don't know what the difference between the first Ghost Flame and the second Ghost Flame is, so I'm just gonna put them on the same tier list. Um, I'm just gonna put them both in the okay. I don't remember the differences between the two of them. I do remember fighting both of them. I fought quite a few Ghost Flame Dragons, I believe. So maybe there were only two, then I overtalked it. But they're just traditional dragon fights. I mean, it's hard. Dragon fights for me have always been really cool cinematically. They're really cool looking fights. Most of the time, they're annoying. It's really hard to get hits in, or the dragon moves around a lot. It flies. It does AOE attacks. Like, it's annoying. Uh, but they're some of the coolest fights in my opinion. They're really cool. Um, and now that I'm looking at this, I'm gonna rate my furnace golem. I'm gonna put it up to good. I know I'm changing around and stuff a lot, but I'm just looking at the okay tier list, and I did enjoy fighting the first furnace golem, and I just didn't fight the rest of them. You don't have to fight them. It's just a fun like one and done for me. Uh, the golden hippo I did on my first try. You get to this guy right before doing mesmer. Um, man, there wasn't really anything cool about this fight. I'm just gonna put it in the okay. Uh, Maybe not great. Um, there just wasn't really anything too special about this boss. I mean, kind of turns into a porcupine, but it's a pretty boring fight. I'll just put it in the not great. It was very simple for me. Um, Jagged Peak Drake, you fight on the way to Bale. But I kind of ruined this boss fight because when I was going up Jagged Peak, you fight two Drakes at once. The fight is two Drakes. But for me, they were fighting each other when I got up there, so I let them kill each other. One of them was really low, so I only had to fight one when he was like quarter HP. So this fight was, I'm just gonna put it in. I'll just put it in not great. I have a feeling that the developers wanted it to be an annoying fight where you take on two dragons at once. And I'm not usually a fan of fighting two things at once. I'm not a huge fan of the Godskin duo fight. It just leaves a lot of room for uncertainty and annoyances. The Lamenter as a boss is really he has a cool gimmick. It's like a cool, it's like, oh, I didn't expect that. I'm not going to spoil the gimmick in here, but for me, for the build that I had when I took him on, it was incredibly annoying. My weapon was designed to hit one thing. I'm not going to say anything else about his gimmick, but this fight was really annoying for me. But we get to Mesmer the Impaler, which I'm going to put Mesmer in the same tier as the Divine Beast Dancing Lion. I think Mesmer, they really, they brought it all together for Mesmer. Mesmer's fight was really cool. It was everything we were hoping for based on the trailers. I think it's a really fun fight. The only thing I do find a little disappointing is, in my opinion, his second phase is easier than his first phase. That doesn't mean it's not cooler. His second phase, in my opinion, is a lot cooler. I just think his attacks are easier to dodge, which can be a good thing, can be a bad thing. I thought this fight was pretty cool. Really cool cinematics, really cool cutscenes. Really fun boss in my opinion. I had a great time fighting him. I beat him in 4 tries. At this point, this is when I started using the Anvil Hammer. Really fun weapon. Also recommend trying it. It was my first strength build I've ever done in an Elden Ring. But yeah, Mesmer went down pretty easily. Um, don't really have very many complaints about this boss. The only thing I could say is his first phase um, is it's not that it's not fun. It's just that his first phase requires a lot of reactive movements. He has a lot of spin-off combos, and like he has like those. He's one of those people that has combos that string on for like 13 attacks or something like that, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just I get a different sort of enjoyance from fighting Bale the Dread that I didn't get when fighting Mesmer. I would put Mesmer above the Divine Beast Dancing Lion though, because the Divine Beast Dancing Lion annoyed the hell out of me. Um, Metter, the Mother of Fingers, I'm going to put in the good tier. This fight was really fun. You have to do an entire quest line. It's a secret little area. Not only do you have to get the secret emote and perform it in front of the church to unlock the finger in the region of the northeast, but you also have to advance through Ymir and Yolan's quest line to be able to do this fight. Um, it's so fun. Um, I beat this boss in 4 tries. There is an attack you have to look out for. Overall, it is not a hard fight at all. Very predictable moves, except for the fact that you are not safe fighting this boss on the side of it. I'm not going to spoil, like I said, I'm trying to keep this kind of spoiler free, but there are some attacks that are really gross for me to watch because, I don't know, a lot of movement kind of grosses me out. But there is one attack in specific when you get this boss to its second phase that it does that is insanely badass. Really simple fight. Just kind of an annoying one to learn. But once you got it down, I mean, you're not going to die to it ever again. Uh, we actually get into my favorite boss fight of the DLC, uh, Mydra, the Lord of Frenzied Flame. The area that you fight this guy is, in my opinion, the worst part of the map. From Software knows exactly what they were doing designing the area, and it's abysmal. There's a specific enemy. It's imagine like the Lake of Rot from the traditional base game. Imagine that, but with madness. There are enemies that you cannot attack. You can only parry that one shot you. Um, it's terrible. Terrible area. But when you get to this guy's boss fight, I think this guy has the best song in the game besides one character, which we're close to. Um, he has my favorite soundtrack in the game. His second phase is so badass. There's a lot of environmental changes that happen mid fight. His attacks seem very fair. He's a very, classic boss. Great weapon. His intro animation is absolutely amazing. I love the idea of a boss being a frenzied flame. Like it was just so well done as a fight. Really enjoyed it. Um, I don't really have any bad things to say about this boss. I will say that my favorite boss from the base game is Horalu, which is the second phase of Godfrey, the first Elden Lord. He kind of reminds me of Horalu in that sense, where it just feels like a fair fight. Neither of you are at an advantage. You're both just fighting evenly. If you know how this boss works, you can definitely take advantage of some, you know, small little attacks between combos and stuff. And so my run where I beat this guy was absolutely insane. I probably took the entire boss down in about 30 seconds because I had just learned his attacks to the point where I was stance breaking him every time he was doing a combo. Really fun boss. Not annoying, in my opinion. Just a great fight. Um, so we get to the Putrescent Knight. This area of the game is really cool. Really enjoyed the environment. The boss itself is sick. I love the design. The boss looks great. The fight itself is interesting. It's very unique. Um, it was an annoying fight to learn, in my opinion. It took me quite a few tries to beat this guy. This guy probably took me one of the most tries, besides the next character, obviously. Um, but very, very, very cool. Honestly, I'm gonna put this in the good tier. I don't think it's quite up here with the Divine Beast and Mesmer, but I think definitely maybe at the top of good tier. This is probably I'd probably sort it like this. That's probably be my B tier. Um, we're gonna get to Radon. Um, Now a lot of people have complaints about Radon being the final boss. They were complaining it's a reuse. He has a lot of the same attacks. But that's not it. A lot of people are complaining about how hard this boss is. His second phase is utterly ridiculous. His first phase is also quite tricky, but once you get it down, it's down. Um, I beat this guy off stream. Unfortunately, my computer can't handle this. Me streaming Elden Ring. I did get a new CPU today, so hopefully we'll be able to handle those more intensive games. Radon took me over 300 tries to beat. Um, it took me over 6.5 hours of nonstop playing to beat this guy, and it's brutal. In my opinion, Radon is the hardest boss I have beaten in playing a Souls game. I've beaten Dark Souls 3 to completion. So all about the Nameless King, Slave Knight Gale. Um, this boss kicked my ass. Melania was an easier fight than this, in my opinion, because you had the chance to stagger her, and once you got a good run going, like you could feel the momentum. I got to the point where I was 2 shots away from killing him, about 2 hours into fighting him, and I never got to that point for another 3 hours. It just going back, I could probably beat him in 20 tries, 10 maybe. But I didn't use any shields. I didn't use any summons. I just did a classic strength build where I just rolled all of his attacks. Didn't parry, no guard counter, stuff like that. Um, I am so proud of myself for beating this, but I'm gonna put it at the bottom of S tier. I shouldn't. I really shouldn't be doing this. No, actually, it's would probably be around right here. But I'm gonna put Radon in S tier. I love Radon being the final boss in this DLC. A lot of people don't like it. A lot of people are upset. A lot of people say that it feels half-assed. And I just personally disagree. I enjoyed this DLC, and I think that the final boss could not be more fitting. I love the way the story went. I love how fitting this guy is. It just feels right at home. Radon was my favorite fight in Elden Ring, just the base game. And so being able to fight this guy in his prime is exactly what I wanted. You fight Radon, and you the only thing I was thinking the entire fight was, I wonder what this guy, how big of a menace he would be if he was in his prime, and you get to fight him. Super cool. His first phase I was getting so good at. His second phase visually is ridiculous. Um, there's just so much to say about this boss. Other than the few flaws in my opinion, which I could agree to disagree with people on, I think he deserves to be in the top. I think this is a great final boss. Raylo the Great Red Bear. I'm gonna put this fight in the okay tier. I'll put it near the top of the okay tier because Rayla has a really cool weapon, kind of like Dancer of Rana. That's kind of they serve the same purpose. She drops the bear claws. The bear claws are very similar to the beast claws, but they're really cool weapon. So the dungeon boss that you fight is unique enough to where I think it qualifies being in the okay tier. Um, I just messed up. This is what I was talking about. Rayla the Great Red Bear is in a different area. Uh, so Red Bear is what I was talking about. Sorry about that. This is the boss I'm thinking of that's very similar to Rana. This fight you fight when you start the second area after beating Renala. Um, this fight was not, I don't know. If you like fighting rune bears and if you like fighting enemies like that, it's a very traditional fight. I'm personally just going to put in Pooh Boss because I don't like fighting rune bears. I think most people don't. It's not as annoying as a death bird, but yeah. We get to Rolana. I'm gonna put Rolana in really good. Rolana, for those of you who have played Dark Souls, Rolana is Pontiff. It's a callback. Really cool fight. It's like a remaster. It's really fun seeing the attack animations for both of her unique swords. She drops a great weapon. The fight is really fun. It's like if Melania became like a fencer almost instead of a swords person. Uh, the fight is very flowy. You go into like kind of like a flow state when fighting this boss. It was really fun to fight. I was really proud when I beat this. I beat this boss at Skadu Tree Fragment level 1. I knew I could do it, so I just did it. This was a fun fight. Really enjoyed it. Romina Saint of the Bud, I'm going to put probably above the Furnace Golem, but below the Metter. I too tried this boss. I don't think this boss is hard at all. They do have Scarlet Rot, which can be an annoying factor when fighting, but it didn't matter for me personally. I don't know. I didn't really get to experience this boss too much. I was using the Anvil Hammer at this point, so I absolutely shit on her. But easy fight, really cool attack animations, a lot of cool, unique attacks for this boss, and the boss design itself is also really unique. Almost kind of makes me uncomfortable because I don't really like millipedes, but cool boss on the list. We've got another great red bear, which I honestly don't know if I fought both of these. I don't know if I'm mixing up which one is which. I might be thinking of this one when I was describing Rayla, but I'm just going to put on the same tier. I don't remember fighting two red bears. I'm assuming the fights are pretty similar, though, so I'm going to put them on the same tier list. The Skadu Tree Avatar. Man. I don't want to put all the main remembrance bosses just in good tier because they're a remembrance boss. So I think I'm going to put the Skadu Tree in the okay tier. Nothing too special about this fight. It's a pretty traditional fight, although I will say that the plot twist or the boss twist at the end of this fight is pretty entertaining. I actually posted a short on this one saying "fuck this sunflower." because it took me way too many tries to beat this boss. Going back, this boss should have taken me just a couple of tries, but I was just so, you know, unoptimal with this boss. Uh, I won't spoil what the plot twist is, but I think this boss is okay. Enjoyable. Uh, Fight. Annoying for me. Um, the Tree Sentinel. This boss is I want to put this boss in the Y. The top right corner of the map is definitely, it kind of annoyed me. Um, you go through the DLC, and up until Mesmer, everything is so coherent, streamlined, fun, classic Elden Ring. And for some reason, the right top side of the map is just barren. There's not a lot of stuff going on, and they just threw a falling star beast, two tree sentinels, and that one quest line. Other than that, it's kind of just, it does it's I feel like it's just really unnecessary. I don't know. The tree sentinels, it's cool to see them again, but fighting them both at the same time, it's really hard to fight only one of the two at a time. And I didn't personally do this fight just because it's like, why would I do it? It's just two tree sentinels. Um, I'm sure people enjoyed fighting it though. Raksha, I'm just gonna put on the same tier as, I don't know, the Black Gold Knight. Nothing too cool. I don't know, traditional. A lot of these bosses, in my opinion, kind of blend together. You're just killing them to get their weapon or their armor 99% of the time. If there was like a cool attack that stood out, I may be different about it. Um, I'm gonna put Jory in the poo tier. There wasn't anything wrong about Jory, I guess, but it's just, that's like, it's an okay boss. It's annoying. It's one of those bosses that summons a lot of characters. It's annoying to get hits in, and any boss that has low HP and is just biding their time by doing some annoying attack or healing or summoning things, it's like, why? It's like, I'm gonna kill you anyway. Don't worry about it. Um, and it does look like that's the end of the list. Is there any swapping that I would do? Um, I'm noticing that a lot of these bosses are just, maybe there's one too many tiers on this tier list, because I feel like a lot of these could kind of blend into the okay tier. I'm just gonna leave it as is though. These are my top three fights by far. Um, Mydra is, in my opinion, the highlight of this DLC. He is such a fun boss. I don't think he's that hard, but he is just such a cool, unique, environmental changing, like the lore of this boss. It's just so cool. I think Radon is worthy of being one of the hardest bosses Souls games have to offer. Really hard fight. Some people cheesed him using shields, and I've seen the easy, like, level 1 Skadu Tree beating Radon fights where they just use the shield. Uh, Still impressive nonetheless. Still impressive. It's just, I'm glad that I beat him the way I beat him, which is just a classic Souls experience with a strength build and just rolling. And Veil the Dread was fun. Really iconic fight. I had fun fighting him. I really like that Igon got the final kill. It was just a great time. So these are my top three, and bottom three would probably be this. I'm not gonna rank Black Knight last because I don't remember fighting this guy. But these fights just feel unnecessary. Senesax is a cool boss. I feel like they could have done a lot more, giving him his own arena instead of just making him a random little fight on the way to Bale and having it be on top of water. That's really annoying. But these fights aren't terrible. They're just kind of annoying. Um, I don't think there's any terrible fights. I think that I'm overreacting definitely on some of these with, them being annoying. Um, I loved the DLC. Highly recommend playing it. Um, it's it was just a blast. It took me like 2 weeks to beat, 3 weeks almost. Radon was insane. But if you haven't had a chance to play this DLC, I would definitely play it. Let me know what your top three bosses were. Let me know what your bottom three bosses were, or if there's any bosses that you had a funny moment happen with, or a cool moment. Let me know. But yeah, that's gonna be the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I've got another video planned that'll probably be releasing Thursday. Um, but yeah, this is just a fun little idea I thought I would do. Catch you guys in the next video. Peace.